Well, this is Alex. No, it's not. This is the Stitchcounting podcast, and I'm Alex, the host. This is the second time I'm recording this because I was um showing a skein and accidentally tapped the computer and it went away. So let's not do that. Move the mouse. This is going to be a shorter episode. Um, and I'm just going to show you guys my latest spinning and my projects. Talk a little bit about what I did personally wise. Um, then that's it. I think that's it. I forgot what I said since I already said it again. Since I already said it. All right, I'm just gonna start off with what I have in my hand. These are, I think it was 7 skeins of lock spun Gotlin. This is a trade spin. This is all of it here. She wanted one spun undyed. And the rest spun in like a fairy garden theme is what she called it. Here are all of these colors, or all of these skeins. Some has some like Angelina or Tenso or something. Actually, I want to say it's more like Tenso than Angelina. There's a lot of scratch here. Angelina's a lot softer. Anyways, I really like that. Nasty. That the way this was dyed, the way I dyed it actually shows some of the colors that I dyed it, the dye colors, and then also shows the natural curls of the sheep. And it's not really the way I dyed, it's more like the way the fleece took the color, which is kind of awesome. So she's actually going to make a bunch of like pouches, purses out of these. So she knits them like very short rows, maybe like 10 stitches or something, and then does them across or stitches up somehow. But she does it really small, and she was like, I really want it bulky. Like she really wanted bulky yarn that had a lot of texture in it, and that's what she's getting. So 7 skeins of those. Whoa. Just dropped everything. Story of my life. Okay. We have 8 skeins of Alpaca. So I'm actually dyeing this again right now, right after this video. You see that actually these 3 right here are all different shades. They're all supposed to be the same ones. I was kind of shooting for all of them to be this color. This is a little bit lighter than this in person. I guess the light is kind of throwing it off or something. Sure, whatever. This is super light, so it's like boom, kind of like this. She wanted me to spin all of her skeins according to grade. So it was like first grade, second grade, blah blah blah. She divided it up somehow. I have no idea how she did it because I guess she got like a professional shearer that knew how to grade alpaca and did that. So yes, I'm dyeing that in a little bit. The pots are getting ready. This is also a trade spin. She's like a 4-H'er or FFA member, Future Farmers of America. Yeah, she's a year younger than me. It's kind of interesting to do a trade with someone around your age, to know that like the craft is going along both ways, like agriculture wise and art wise. Yeah, I just actually decided to untwist them because I'm actually going to dye them, and it will be easier, to dye them when they aren't twisted up. But I was actually just cutting all the yards and doing my counts, which I should have that close by. so I could share with you guys the total yardage I've spun up. There's a couple more. I may have showed these last week, but I'm not actually sure. I'm going to show it again. This is from the bat I won from Nestleland. I forgot what it has. It has a bunch of stuff in it, and they'll probably fingerless mittens. With another skein I have of hers that it's nowhere to be found. I'll find it one day and I'll make it. But this has a lot more curls than the other one does, and it's my colors. Even though I'm blonde now, because I'm dyeing it next week. It's kind of crazy. These are my roots. So they're kind of like more brown than blonde. But these has been dyed like bleached 4 times, and it's almost like white. It's like a really, really pale yellow. So yes, we have that. This is acrylic from Line Brand, where I work. I don't know. I like this. I like spinning acrylic. It's nice and soft. Like I like the outcome, but I don't really like spinning it. It kind of overspins a lot. It's easy to overspin it. But I'm gonna try to spin it with Surrey Alpaca, because Surrey Alpaca is a pain in the ass to spin. It's gonna be Surrey, acrylic, and bamboo. So it should be easier to spin than Surrey on its own, simply because Surrey is so slippery. Acrylic is kind of like wool that it has some type of crimp in a way, and I like spinning bamboo. Bamboo isn't that much of a pain, but they're kind of the same because they're so super slippery. But I guess I like bamboo more than Surrey. I was also doing a Surrey sport weight trade or convention, I forgot, but it wasn't fun, so that's why I'm kind of traumatized by Surrey. Anyways, continuing. This is an alpaca bulky weight from whatever I had on hand. I just dyed it. It's more of a this is kind of the color it is right here. It's only 90 yards. It's nice. Something just to spin for fun is what I did. That's going in the shop at the end of this month. This is just undyed alpaca. 2-ply bulky also. But you can't really see. Oh, right here. You kind of see right there when I moved. There's Angelina sprinkled throughout. So this is super glittery and nice. And I want to say it was 120. Yes, 120 yards. And it's actually pretty bulky. So I was actually debating putting it on Etsy and selling it as yarn, or knitting up and selling it as a hat. Because I feel like the hat will sell better for me than the skein. Because I sell more dyed ones than undyed. But I know people like undyed hats. I don't know. Let's see what happens with that. This is a... Did I write down a technique? I didn't. This is just a fat single with some bamboo auto wrapped. I was gonna say coarse spun and auto wrapped, but it didn't feel coarse spun. But yes, I dyed this also. It has some chartreuse and some Kelly green and some black actually. But when it was blended, the black and the chartreuse kind of made like a muddy green in a way. I like this skein. It's pretty cool. 88 yards of super bulky yarn. And for skein-wise, for yarn-wise, that's it. That's all I've spun up, which is a lot, actually. I'm saying that's it, but it's a lot. Since the last episode, I don't think I said the count for my last episode. Yeah, I didn't say the count for last episode. So last episode, I spun 10,000 cumulative. So since the beginning of the year, 10,255 yards. Cumulative from the last episode to now, I've spun 11,636 yards. So let's see how far I get by September. Or wait, what's the middle of the year? next month. That's cumulative, but since the last episode, skein wise, not counting the other ones, I spun 1,384 yards in total, which is pretty nice. It's a nice accomplishment, in my opinion. I just want to see how far I get by the end of the year. So let's see. I'm just gonna show off this little bat set I made. This is Gotland and Angora. The pink is Gotland, the gray is Gotland, and the gray is my alpaca for my rabbits. I've really never seen that blend before. I'm gonna see how it is. Gotland is super nice and long and crimpy and curly. And Angora, you know, is amazing, warm, halo-y. It doesn't have much Angora. Maybe like a quarter of an ounce or something. Showing off my yarn bomb contributions for a local yarn bomb around here. It's going to be for a community garden. At first, we were going to do like a garden themed yarn bomb on a chain link fence. But now it's going to be the word unity with garden themed letters, if that makes sense. So I chose the Y, so these will spell out the Y. And I think I need 14 or 21. I think it was 7 and 7 and 7. I did the math, but I forgot. Anyways, these are 4 inches across. I'm not doing the math. I think it's actually I'm doing the math. It might be 18. Okay, stop. So yes, they're all crocheted. Boom, boom, boom. I have a bunch more to make if I'm going to be doing the Y, which I am. Here's one it's in the process of being made. But that's it. I haven't even done the other parts. Here's this cute little hat that I didn't even notice until I posted on Instagram that this looks like a cupcake. And actually, because it looked like a cupcake, this lady that found me through just Instagram bought the other one I made because she makes like pastries and tea party stuff. So like a chef, she's a baker, a pastry chef. I'm actually ordering some sprinkle beads. Or they have, I think they're called like bowl beads in a way. They look like those like the pasta rigatoni, I think. I forget. Anyways, I'm buying colorful beads, and I might sew on the garter ribs. Some beads. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, or I might actually buy some sprinkled or like rainbow speckled dyed yarn, and that would be the top of this, and this would be like flat out white. We'll just play around with it. I don't know. I like this pattern. It's super simple, and I feel like it just works up so quick because you're changing every couple rows here for some reason. It's enjoyable. I don't really enjoy knitting a lot for the most part. So I just find it so repetitive. Unlike crochet, I'm just a hater for knitting sometimes because I picked up crochet first. Anyways, here's a commuter beanie in, I want to say it's grass, but I forget the name, and I don't think it's going to fit me. Oh, it is. Oh, it fits me, so it might end up being in my stash. But I can't wear it to work because it's not Lion Brand yarn. It's cool, right? I love these hats. These are my best sellers, so I'm trying to make a bunch of these for all the shows I'm going once September, fall comes along, and winter. Yeah, want to build a nice sized inventory so I make good sales this winter. That's it for the stuff I've made, actually. Oh, no, it's not. Let me show you. Remember I showed you that nice Pea Coat that I was in love with and blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Yep, I had to rip it out. It's not to gauge the pattern, so I'm actually going to, I wrote down what was my gauge, and the size she is, so I'm pretty much gonna make my own pattern as I go to gauge so it fits her correctly. Um, I was looking. I don't really use Ravelry now that I'm working at a physical yarn store. I'm getting used to like the Ravelry community, how like beneficial it is for knitters and crocheters. I looked up that pattern. People like the pattern. A couple people have made it and finished it and worked out. Um, I was reading the comments that people would ask on the actual pattern page, and someone asked what was the stitch she used for her gauge. Let me tell you guys. She writes, I didn't actually make a gauge swatch for this pattern. Just start the first 2 rows and if you're and make sure and check if you're crocheting to gauge. So she didn't make a gauge swatch, and I kind of assumed that because in the pattern it just says like um 3 stitches for an inch, 1 row for an inch. 3 stitches of what? 1 row of what? Um, but I don't really pay attention to that because I had the right size, I had the right hook, and for the most part, I do all the right things to gauge when the yarn and the hook goes. For bulky yarn, for other yarns, I always check the gauge because I'm not used to that yarn weight. Um, yeah, so it wasn't even the right size. So it started it over. I wound up all the yarns, so let's see when that gets finished. It's a trade, and she's pretty much all done finishing. She's pretty much all done processing my wool. So I don't know when that's like. It should have been done like last week, but it isn't. Like the garment fitted me, and I'm 49 inches across my chest or around my waist. My chest I'm a little bit smaller. Um, yeah, 49 inches. She's like 36, 34. So a lot smaller, and it fitted me, which is kind of disappointing. Um, but yeah, so I was going back to Ravelry. She said she didn't. She said she didn't make a gauge swatch, which was like, okay, whatever. You didn't make a gauge swatch. But then I asked her a couple questions, like, oh, what was the hook you actually really used, or what's the size the model was wearing? Because I saw the size, I saw the model, and the person I'm making for are similar build. She tells me it's a medium. I'm making a medium and it fits me. That's bad. So I'm telling her I'm using the correct hook, I'm using the right yarn, I'm using the exact yarn you're actually used. So what's wrong? I think the pattern. I'm pretty much like implied that the pattern was written wrong, and she probably needed to get it tested. Is what I pretty much like implied, but indirectly. Um, Her first question was, "Are you crocheting to gauge?" That was so annoying because she wasn't doing it to gauge, but I actually was. I checked, and I'm doing it to the gauge she was saying. So I'm not sure what's wrong. I guess I'm just gonna start over. Maybe I increased too much. Maybe it's actually my fault. Let's see what happens. And if it's starting and it fits, and if it works up wrong again, it's clearly not my issue. If it's clearly not my problem. It's clearly not my fault. Here we go. It's clearly not my fault if it works out wrong. I'm just gonna have to like correct it as I go so it fits it properly. But all in all, I actually like the pattern. I like the way it's constructed. She's very creative in the way she made it. But I think math-wise, that's where she kind of falls out. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of this episode. 20 minutes, pretty good. And that's kind of the amount I usually do. But I feel like I talk a lot more than the other ones. My links may or may not be below, but I'm Alex Graves on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm Stitchcounting on Ravelry. Yeah, best way to contact me is Ravelry. Get through my email. Instagram, I respond really quick. Facebook, I don't really use it. I don't like Facebook, but I use it for business. That's pretty much it. But yeah, have a good day. Don't forget to be awesome and keep loving yarn.